I remember the sound before the sight, metal biting dirt, a shovel striking something that wasn't soil. I froze with my hands still wrapped around the handle, the desert sun of my deployment still living in my bones, even though I was home now. My daughter stood behind me, silent, too silent for a child who had already learned not to ask questions. "Dad," she whispered, "that's the second one." That was when I knew this wasn't punishment, this was cruelty with paperwork. I was deployed when they decided to break her, not officially, of course. Officially, it was discipline, structure, necessary consequences, words adults use when they want to sleep at night after doing something unforgivable to a child who can't fight back. My sister volunteered to take my daughter while I was overseas. Family, blood. I told myself that meant safety. I told myself a lot of lies back then, because lies are easier when you're dodging mortars and trusting the people back home to guard what matters most. My daughter was 12, quiet, observant, the kind of kid who folds her pain inward and waits for it to pass. They mistook that for weakness. Before deployment, our life was simple. Not easy, never easy, but solid. Morning routines, notes in lunchboxes, late-night talks where she'd pretend not to be tired just to stretch the moment a little longer. I taught her how to dig holes in the backyard for planting. She liked the feeling of doing something with her hands, of leaving marks that meant something. 2 feet deep, I told her once. Anything less washes away. I didn't know then how prophetic that would be. The first sign came in a letter, not from my sister, from my daughter. The handwriting was smaller than I remembered, controlled, careful. "I'm okay, Dad. I just want to come home." That was it. No jokes, no drawings, no questions about when I'd be back. Children don't write like that unless they've been taught that every word has consequences. I asked my sister about it during a rare call. She laughed, said my daughter was being dramatic, said I was spoiling her even from a war zone, said rules were rules. I heard something else in her voice, satisfaction. The truth arrived in fragments, a neighbor's offhand comment, a school email copied to the wrong address, a photo posted and quickly deleted, my daughter standing in the yard, holding a shovel, eyes down, arms shaking. The caption read, "Actions have consequences." I stared at that image until my hands stopped shaking. By the time I flew home, the pain had burned off. What replaced it was colder, cleaner. Planning requires clarity, and I had all the clarity I needed. I didn't confront anyone at first. I hugged my daughter, counted her ribs with my eyes, noted the way she flinched when voices rose, noted the way she looked at the ground before speaking. I waited. Waiting is a skill you learn when survival depends on timing. At night, after she slept, I walked the yard. 2 patches of disturbed earth stood out immediately. Neat, deliberate, measured. Punishment holes. My sister believed in character-building labor. Dig a hole, fill it back in. Dig another. Repeat until the lesson sticks. No explanation needed, just obedience carved into muscle memory. The first hole was exactly 2 feet deep. The second one was deeper. That bothered me. I dug. That's when the shovel hit metal. Inside the second hole, wrapped in plastic and duct tape, was a locked cash box. Not hers, not mine. Inside were documents, photocopies, bank statements, a burner phone, a ledger written in my sister's handwriting, neat and meticulous. She hadn't just been punishing my daughter. She'd been using her, forced labor, to bury evidence, teaching silence early, conditioning compliance, every hole a rehearsal for complicity. The rage that rose in me was slow and precise, the kind that doesn't scream, the kind that builds structures. I put everything back exactly as I found it. Then I started digging elsewhere. I recorded conversations, logged times, collected school reports that didn't match the stories I'd been told. Medical visits explained away as clumsiness. Financial transfers that moved just under reporting thresholds. I didn't rush. I let my sister believe she was winning. Predators get sloppy when they feel safe. I consulted a lawyer quietly, then another, then a forensic accountant who owed me a favor from before the war. We built a case brick by brick. No emotion, just facts sharpened into weapons. All the while, I acted grateful, cooperative, apologetic even. My sister mistook my silence for submission. That was her last mistake. The confrontation didn't happen in a living room. It happened in a conference room. Neutral ground, witnesses present, papers stacked neatly in front of me. My daughter seated beside a social worker who already knew everything. I watched my sister's confidence evaporate, one document at a time. The ledger, the phone records, the photos, the holes. She tried to speak, tried to reframe, tried to cry. I said nothing. Power doesn't need commentary. When they escorted her out, she finally looked at my daughter, not with guilt, with betrayal, as if the child had failed her. That's when I leaned in close enough for only her to hear. 2 feet is enough to bury a lie, I said. You went deeper. Her face collapsed. Accounts frozen, custody revoked, charges filed where they fit, investigations opened where they didn't. I didn't push for spectacle. I pushed for permanence. My daughter came home with me that night. We planted something in the yard the next morning, a tree this time, roots deep enough to hold. She asked me once if I was angry. I told her the truth. No, I said, I'm finished. Now when I think back, I don't remember the sound of metal hitting dirt. I remember the moment after, the stillness, the understanding. Justice doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it waits underground, patient, until someone finally digs in the right place. And when it surfaces, it doesn't ask permission.